Okay, so I'm going to start over with a new project, and I'm going to type in Quilt Panel Quilt as my new project and hit OK. And I am going to get a screen where I want to be in the design part, because we are designing. And I'm going to come over on the top to the layout. And I'm just going to say that my quilt panel is, say, 24 by 36. So the first thing I want to do is I have a lot of blocks over here, squares, so I only need one. So I'm going to bring both my horizontal and my vertical down to 1. And I don't want to keep my width and height equal, so I'm going to have my width, did I say I'm 24, so let's just say it's 24. And the bottom is, let's just say it's 32. So this center section here is my panel. The rest of this, I don't need any of my sashing. I'm not going to have sashing between blocks because I don't have any blocks. So now that I'm done my layout and I'm up at the top tabs, I'm going to go to the borders. And I want to have a border with blocks on it. Excuse me. So I'm going to drop down, and the first thing I want to do is I want to determine what size my border is going to be. Well, if it's going to be blocks, I don't want it too small. So I'm going to say that it is, let's say 4 inches. I want to move them all, so I have this marked. I want all 4 sides the same, so where the all is, I make sure I check marked it. And I'm going to come over and I'm just going to put it at, just for a start, at 4 inches. Now the inches here means finished size. So the next thing I want to do is I want to place blocks in this border. So I'm going to change my border style, and I'm going to change it to blocks. And you see how it's made these blocks going around? Well, I need to have a little better sizing than that. Oops, sorry. I used my scroll in the wrong place. So I want to come down to the section where it says blocks in the border, and I want to click on, I'm going to do the horizontal first, so that's the top and the bottom. And this is kind of a visual to me. I want to get these about the size of the corners, but I'd like them to be a nice even number there. Now I'm going to do down the side, and I'm going to need more because there's more going, and I'm hoping to get the blocks going down the side the same as the blocks going across the top and bottom. So I'm going to give that a try, and then I'm going to go back up at the top and hit the design and go to my design work table. So I'm just going to use one of the blocks that are here, and I'm just going to do something simple. So I'm just going to take this block, and I can put it in each one, or I can hold my control down and hit them, and they'll all go in. But you notice the 4 corners didn't go in, so that we have the ability to, well, even if they did go in, we could change it. But for now, we're going to leave it as it is. And what I want to do is I want to create a sort of like a ribbony kind of design. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So it's a little, has a little more continuity to it. So I'm going to, rather than change all the colors on my blocks, I'm going to rotate my blocks, and my rotate button is right here. Rotate, and now I can click And what I want to do, I'm making these two line up. See, then these are. So I just keep clicking, and it's really clicking every other one. So see how I guess they're like little bow tie kind of things. So they're going down the side. Now I want to come over to this side. And hello, Gloria. I'm glad someone made it in. Thank you. I want to make this border on the right-hand side opposite of the left-hand side. So I don't want these going this way. I want to go opposite. So now I'm the same. So I want to go this way. So see, the point of this top is going in, and the point of this one is going in. Okay, so I'm going to call them bow ties for lack of anything else. So my bow tie, the top part, this is the top, this is the bottom, is pointing in towards my panel. So now I want to do the same with my top and the bottom. So I'm just going to start, and I'm okay with that going that way, but if I want it different, I would have to change this one. So I'm going to go I went too many times around. There I go. Okay, and I'll probably do my bottom. Let's see if I do the bottom of it the opposite way. Okay, so I can see how that looks. And looks fine so far. So what I want to do is I want to make sure I come way over to the left where the sketchbook and the plus is, and I'm just going to do add to sketchbook, which means I've saved this. Now I'm going to go out to the fabric library. So I'm going to hit my button here where it says fabric tools, and I can do open library here, or I can come up at the very top where the libraries are and do fabric library there. So I'm going to click open library, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my look for a fabric by themes, and I'm just going to pick, let's pick a large floral, and I can't really see the whole floral, so I'm just going to pick a few, add them to my sketchbook. I could have scanned in my panel if I wanted to, but it's a little hard because the EQ makes fabric chips, I guess is the way to think of it. And so the panel would come in really small. So I'm just going to pick a couple things here that I think might be bigger. And let me pick something that's not quite as bright. And I've hit all of them. I've used the add to sketchbook, and now I'm going to close that. So when I come back here, my colors, my fabrics are going to be, my new fabrics will be down the very end where of the chips. So I'm just going to look, and I'm just going to try each one till I can find something that's not too bad. But you can see how it comes in as chips as opposed to one big picture. So I just want to have something that, I think I'll go with this one. That one looks kind of nice. So I'm going to pull the colors from this panel into this border. So I'm going to go back in my colors and see if I can find, I guess I'll try a green. And I'm going to take all the blues and I'm going to make them green. So in order to do that, I can come over to the left here where it says swap color, and I'm going to click on that. And now my green is chosen. When I hit anything, when I hit one blue, anything that's that same color blue is going to change. Then I'm going to get my other one, and I think I'm going to try to find a pink. That green is kind of dark. So let me see if I can find, oh, here's a different green. Let me try this green instead. There we go. And then I'm going to see if, what have I got in the pink or corally kind of colors. Maybe I'll try this one here. And when I hit this peachy color, it's going to change it on all of them because my swap tool stays on until I shut it off. Okay, so now I'm going to come over and make sure I hit my paintbrush so that I shut off my swap tool. Otherwise, I'll be swapping a lot. So the next thing I want to do is I want to put some kind of block in my corner. So I want to keep it simple. So I'm going to go back up to the top and pick my block tools. I'm going to hit set block, and I'm just going to pick this block that is a half square triangle. And if I hold down my control key, it'll put it in all four corners at the same time. I'm going to come back to my fabric tool, and I want these corners to be this same pink. So if I just come over and I take my eyedropper and I click on the pink, now the pink will go into this square. And again, if I hold down my control key, I can color all four blocks at the same time. Now I need to rotate these blocks. So I'm going to come back to my block tool. I'm going to click on rotate, and I want the pinks to go out to the corners. So I'm going around until I have them on all four corners. And I want to make sure I save again, so I'm going back over to where the little book and the plus is, and I'm going to save this. Hi, Christine. Thanks for joining in. So I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, oh, you know what? Maybe I want an inside border. So I'm going to go back to my borders. My tab is at the top, and I want to insert a border here. Well, if I hit add a border, it's going to be to the outside. I want to put one in here, so I'm going to hit insert a border, and see how it came to the inside? And let's say that I want it to be 1.5 inches. So I'm down the bottom, I've slid or I can just click on either side of the slider to go. See, if I click a little bit, it just goes a quarter of an inch at a time. And so now I can go back to my design, and I can see I have this border, and I think I'm going to go and color it, maybe something, let's see. We'll go to the fabric tool, and we'll just take a look at what we got for fabrics. And again, I can go up if I want to, and I can go open library, go back to my fabrics, and this time instead of the theme, I'm going to go with the colors. And I want something maybe coral salmon. Let's try that. I'm just going to look at them. And I think I'll pick this one right here, and I'll add it to the sketchbook. Then I'm going to come over and I'm going to look at, I guess, let me try gold. I don't want anything dark, and these are too dark, so let me scroll down and see if I've got something. Let's see. How about kind of to the cream color? See if we can find something that's, let's try this one up here and click. And then a warm pink. And again, maybe let's try this one. And then we'll just go back a little ways. It doesn't hurt anything to try, so let's just try a few. And I'm going to close it. And again, I'm going to go to the very end of my palette, and I can see my colors there. So let's say I'm going to pick that first one I had, And I can click on one border, or I can hold my control down and click on all the borders. Well, I'm not sure if that isn't just too much pink. So let's try and go back to the library. And let's try something in the green. So let's go see olive green maybe. So I'm going to pick this first one. I'm just looking for something that's light. So let me go to regular green, and those are awfully dark. So yellow green, let's try that. And I'm just going to pick a couple from there and close it up. And again, I'm going to scroll to the end down here, and let's try this one I picked. And I'm going to hold down my control key and pick them. So I'm all right with that. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now I need to print out what my block is going to be. So I'm going to go up to the top where it says print. And I'm going to click on one of the blocks. And you see how it's telling me that the block is 4.0 and a height of 4.38. Well, before I get too distressed about it, I'm going to come over to my, hi Denise, Christine, this is EQ program, electric quilt program, software program for doing, excuse me, for doing drawing quilts, placemats, bags, mug rugs, wall hangings, whatever you want to do. And you can print out templates, or it'll tell you your rotary cutting instructions. Hi, Mary Lou. Okay, so I gotta get my cursor back. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we're talking about the width being, and these are finished, 4.0, and the height 4.38. So before I have a total heart attack over this number, I'm going to go over to my rotary cutting instructions, and I'm just going to do a preview. Maybe. Oh, here it comes. My preview's taking a minute. And I'm going to zoom in a little closer so you can see it. So it's having me cut 2.5 by 2 3/4. So 2 3/4 is 2.75. There's going to be a 1/4 inch seam allowance on each side. Let's see. So let me go back for a minute because I want to show you a couple things. Oh, so I'm going to close that. So 4.38. So if I want to get this number a little better, or to something that might work more for me, I can always change this border, the small border, in and out. But remember, when we sew something, in this case, we need to be exact getting this border in to fit this panel. Now, we could adjust the size of the panel. We could adjust the size of the inner border, or we may just need to sew a couple of our blocks together and measure it and see what we get. So let's say we're trying to get this to come out right, and maybe we can reduce our panel a little bit. So I'm going to go back to layout, and let's say my panel can go in a little ways. So I'm going to take it to, let's say 23. I'm just picking a number. And I went to 30. So let's go 22 and 30. Okay, then I'm going to come back over at the top to my design. My size of my finished quilt right now is 33 by 41 total. So I'm going to go back into my print. I'm going to select my block. And you see now I'm 4.0 and my height is 4.130. So I may want to change the height of my panel So let's say I can adjust that. I'm going to go back to layout, and I'm going to bring the height in to, it might be too far, but I'm going to give it a whirl, 28. I'm going to come back out to my design. I'm going to go back to print. I'm just going to go over one of these. So now see, I came in way too far. So normally you would write this down, and I forgot to. So I'm going to come up to, let's say 29. I'm going to come back to my print. And now my block is finished 4 inches by 4 inches. So if that concerns me, to make sure I want to get that block size exact, I would adjust my panel if I can, because sometimes you can trim off a little bit. You can't add on. If we had to add on, we would add on either another inner border or make this inner border bigger. But a lot of times you can trim in on a panel a little bit, left and right, top and bottom, whichever you want to do, if you need to keep these numbers exact. You can also sometimes adjust this border, this inner border, to get this exact. But this will give you an idea how this would look. So now I've got my block where I'm comfortable with it. So if I go out and come over and click my rotary cutting instructions, and I'm just going to preview it. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it better. So now my blocks, I'm going to cut a strip. My strip is going to be 2.5 inches wide, which is like a jelly roll. So this would work for a jelly roll. And then I'm going to cut 2.5 inch blocks from my 2.5 inch strip. And it's going to show me up here. Let me zoom out again. It's showing me which ones are A and which ones are B. I've got 3 colors, the pink, the green, and then the whites. So it's telling me I need 2 patches of white and 1 patch of pink and 1 patch of green for each block that I'm making. Does anybody have any questions so far? If you want to put it in the chat so I can see it. And again, I've adjusted, so I'm going to go ahead and save this quilt I've done to my sketchbook. So I'm just going to check and see if I can scroll down for if anybody has any more. Oh. Any questions? I'm going to take it there's no questions so far. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead into my sketchbook, which is over on the left-hand side. It's a little book with the glasses. And now I can see all the quilts that I've designed, so I can get rid of some of them so I don't have more than I need to get, to get myself confused. So I'm selected on this first one. I'm going to hit delete. And this is, if I look here, it tells me at the bottom, this one is quilt number 1 of 3. This one's 2 of 3. This one's 3 of 3. I'm going to take 3 of 3. I'm going to come over to where the notes are, and I'm going to name this quilt flower panel. So let's say I have a flower panel, and I'm going to hit this little push pin because that saves it. And you can see now over on this left-hand side, here's my note card. I named it Flower Panel. The size is 33 by 40, finished. So I can go ahead and get rid of the ones I don't want. Okay, so I now only have the one the one I like the best. So I'm going to go into edit again. And let's just say, okay, I saved that one, but that block's not doing much for me. So let me see what I have. I'm going to go to my block tools, and I'm going to do set block. And these are the blocks that just happen to be in there at this moment. So I'm going to go up to open my library, for my blocks, and I can come in and I can go in, all the blocks are categorized, and let's say I want, let's see what we got for a 9 patch. So maybe I want, I'm trying to see something, I'm looking to see something that might blend next to the next guy. So I'm going to grab this spool and I'm going to add it to my sketchbook. And I'm just going to look at some that are not too hard. So let me go to the 4 patch. And, I'm going to pick this one just to show. I picked the, to show you after. I'm going to pick this broken dish. And I'm going to close and I'm going to come back. And they've added to the end. Now, if I take this, let me see how many more I got there. If I take this last one, the broken dish, and I'm going to put it in where these checkerboards were, I'm going to hit my control key, and I'm going to put them all in. Okay, that looks more like a pinwheel now. Now, let me see if I flip one. I got somebody's wrong there somewhere when I look at it. Well, that depends how your eyes go, what you see there. Okay, so I'm going to say, well, yeah, I'm not sure I really like that one. So I'm going to hit my set blocks. I'm going to try this spool. So you can see how the blocks going one way look like this. The blocks going a different way look like this. So you can get an idea of when you put a block in here if you want it to create a particular type of a border there. I'm going to now try this one. And I'm going to use the rotate tool. Whoop. And see how I can get this different type of a border as well. So if I decide I like this one, which I wouldn't because there's too many pieces, and I can just go in and remember when I color, let me pick a bigger one so you can see it a little easier. So let me go back to this one. Okay, and let me do that rotate. And it's, as I'm rotating it, I think I see the design, and then I look for a minute more and I don't. So I'm going to hit the fabric tool, and I'm going to take this pink, and I'm going to hold down instead of using my swap color, I'm going to hold down my control key, and my control key will change the color in each block, the same piece in each block. So once I change the color, do you see how the look of the whole design changes? You see the differences. So I think, well, that block's a little more than my eyeball can stand. So I'm going to come back to set blocks. And I'm going to pick this 4 patch and try that. Okay, so again, do you see across the top and the bottom how you have one look, and and on the left and right you have another? And to get the same one, I would simply rotate these blocks to be the same as the other ones. Now let's say I want to get this border, I want the colored ones to all be the same color. So I'm going to go back to my fabric tool. I'm going to pick my pink again, and I am going to do swap color, and I am going to change all the blues and all the other ones to the same color. And then I'm going to go ahead and change my corners. Now, because I've made my corners the same as this, if I go in and pick a different color, and I still have my swap tool on, if I try to change my corners, do you see how it changes everything because they're all the same color? So I can hit Control Z to undo and get it back so that if I want to have the corners again to be a separate color, I need to come back and click on my paintbrush, and then I'm going to pick a color, and I'm going to color all four corners, or I can hold my control down and it'll do the four corners for me, and I can come into the middle and match that. And again, I would go ahead and save to my sketchbook. Now I'm going to go out to my sketchbook. Excuse me, didn't mean to sneeze. And now I have the two different looks. So you can see I've got this checkerboard look, and on the bottom one I have one that is more of a ribbony kind of border. So does anybody have any questions? I'm not quite sure how long we've gone for, so I'm going to, if nobody has, let me just check to make sure that nobody has any questions, and otherwise we'll end this. And just so you know, I'm going to do the live for Saturday. So Saturday at 11, and it'll be on YouTube. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe, and then hit the bell, and that will tell you when there's a new post up. I'll try to figure out. I will also put a post in Facebook. So that you'll have a reminder there with the link again to come in. So does anybody have any questions? No questions? Okay, so this will end our session for today, and I will see you, today's Friday, so I will see everyone tomorrow. I just have to figure out how to stop my live presentation. So have a great day, everyone, and see you tomorrow.